Welcome into the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Preview for the Toronto Blue Jays. My name is Dave Eddy. I am with the handsome gentleman over here, Connor Thomure. Before we hop into things, Connor, I need people to go ahead and hit the like button down there for us. Helps us out quite a bit. And then help yourself out and hit that subscribe button. I want you to turn on notifications when you do so, because we're doing one of these videos that are coming out every single day. So when you turn on those notifications, you'll get an alert as soon as that happens, and you can be one of the first to check it out. And then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans. If you haven't done so yet, you can go ahead and sign up for our all access pass. It's going to get you, access to the award-winning rankings that are over there, draft tools that I promise you are going to help you, win your drafts. And then you get the Discord with people like myself and Connor and everybody else in there, along with other like-minded folks where you can talk about the NBA and PGA and NASCAR if you catch me on a good day, DFS. I mean, basically you name it, and we got it all there. But Connor, are you ready to do some Blue Jay talk?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, buddy. Let's go ahead and start off with the lineup. I will warn you ahead of time. I am a Blue Jays fan. They are my second favorite team. But so I'll try to keep the homerism down a little bit. Lineup starts off with George Springer up at the top, followed by Bo Bichette, my good friend Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Alejandro Kirk in the 4-hole behind the dish. We got Daulton Varsho in left field batting fifth, Matt Chapman, Brandon Belt, Whit Merrifield, and Kevin Kiermaier round out that lineup. So it's a good one. It was a good lineup before they got Daulton Varsho. And with him in the lineup now, he's kind of the guy I want to talk about first. At least for this season, we know he's going to remain, catcher eligible. So I really want to know from your perspective, do you think he finishes as, the catcher one? And in two catcher leagues, like NFBC, how early would you feel comfortable taking him?
I'll answer the first question. I don't think he'll finish as catcher one. I think JT Realmuto is still taking it away. Can't go wrong with Realmuto in fantasy baseball. Varsho, he had an impressive 2022 season, but it wasn't like mind-blowingly like I have to get this guy next year. The scary part for me was the on-base percentage. He got on base about like 30% of the time. He does have good home run and good stolen base potential, so that's going for him. As far as the two catcher leagues, how early would I take him? Probably in the first, I want to say 5 rounds, maybe around round 5, round 4, something like that. I feel like it'd be pretty good at taking him there.
So, I will say this. It theoretically is possible that Varsho ends up being the catcher two on his own team, because Alejandro Kirk, has every ability to be the catcher one overall. But yeah, I would bank on Varsho being catcher one, in all the mock drafts and stuff I've been doing leading into the season. Varsho is a guy that I'm targeting early. I'm taking him in the 3rd round if he's there. In two catcher leagues, I should say. It's the TGFBI mocks that we're doing. But I've never seen him get out of the 3rd round.
Okay.
And he's a guy that I think he put up great numbers last year, obviously, and he now goes to arguably the best offensive team in the league. Look at the guys that are batting ahead of him: George Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Kirk. Those are 4 great guys, and it's not like he's got nobody behind him. He's being protected by Chapman, by Belt. I think we could see a really big year from Varsho. I don't think he's going to win MVP or something crazy like that, but I think that he's the guy that I target for catchers. And like I said, two catcher league, I'm happy to take him in the 3rd round personally. In a one catcher league, I don't know, 4th, 5th round is fine. But honestly, you're probably going to find somebody in your league like myself who's going to snipe you on him if you don't go ahead and take him a little early. Speaking there earlier of my BFF, Vlad Guerrero Jr., maybe it's because I'm a homer here, but I think he's a clear, number 1 first baseman in redraft. What are your thoughts there?
I don't think so just yet, personally. I still think Freddie Freeman and maybe even like a Paul Goldschmidt are going to still outperform him, even though, they're a little bit older, and especially Paul Goldschmidt, some say might be slowing down, but he just came off the MVP season. I'm still putting those two ahead of him. But you can't go wrong. And Third or first base, excuse me, is also like one of those where they're extremely deep. Or if you're not sure who the number one guy is, that just kind of tells you what you need to know, and you might be able to get one of these guys a little bit later than you want or than you really need to.
I mean, so we just got done earlier recording the New York Yankees video,
Yeah.
and the best way for me to simply and quickly describe to you what I think of Vlad Jr. this year, I would draft him over Aaron Judge this year. I would not be shocked. I'm not calling it, but I would not be shocked if Vlad puts up very similar numbers to what you just saw Aaron Judge do. He is that special of a player where he absolutely could replicate that season. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I am saying I'm drafting Vlad ahead of Aaron Judge.
All right.
All right, that's enough talk about the bats. Let's give the pitchers a little bit of love here. Let's head on over to the starting rotation because it's nothing to sneeze at either, man. Like, for as good as their batting, order is, the pitchers here are pretty phenomenal too. We start off at the top with Alek Manoah, followed by Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, and Yusuke Kikuchi. I really like, pretty much all of these guys. But let's start off here. Let's talk about Manoah. Is there any doubt in your mind that he's at least a top 15 starting pitcher? And if not, how far up would you push him?
There is no doubt in my mind he is already a top 15 pitcher. He's still really young. My biggest concern on him is the 5% drop in strikeout rate, which I like my pitchers to get as many strikeouts as they possibly can. But besides for that, he still is top 15, and I would be fine with taking him in like right around 10 or 9, something like that. I mean, no reason not to. I'd take him over a guy like Jacob deGrom where you're concerned about his injuries and stuff. Or even like a Shane McClanahan. I'm taking Manoah over him too.
Yeah,
so I'm pushing him up in the top 10.
I completely agree. I mean, not fantasy related. And again, maybe this is a little bit of my homerism showing, but if I had to put a bet down on AL Cy Young, and of course we're going with, odds included, Alek Manoah is a guy that I put money on. So, wouldn't shock me at all if Vlad is the MVP, Manoah is the Cy Young award winner. I mean, he could be a top 5 starting pitcher this year, and I don't think anyone would be shocked with it.
No, not at all.
Now, Kevin Gausman, on the other hand, he's a guy I'm not quite as high on as Manoah. But what do you think? Where would you put him? Is he like a top 20 guy for you? Does he fall, further outside of that range?
Yes and no. I think he has a shot at being top 20, but I think the main, and I don't like saying it, but the main way that it'll happen is by the people in front of him getting injured, and he sneaks up into the top 20. And I think that's his best bet there. But if everyone stays healthy, I think he's around like the 25 to 30 range.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't put him probably inside the top 40.
Really?
I kind of think we've seen definitely his best seasons, and I don't think he's that guy that we've seen, be like a top 10 starting pitcher for a short period of time. I definitely do not trust him. I will say, though, that if anything, the balanced schedule probably helps him out a little bit. I mean, obviously he doesn't have to face his own team, but, getting to face, teams like, I don't know, Arizona and, maybe Colorado as opposed to the Yankees, he's probably going to get a couple of easier starts, which, helps him out. But again, everyone's in that same boat. And again, doesn't push him up for me at all because I'm not a guy that would ever end up with Gausman because he's never going to be available where I would draft him,
Yeah, he's more of a guy that he's not you don't want him to be your number 1 guy, but if he's your possibly your number 2 or number 3, depending on your other positions, if he's my number 3, I'm pretty happy with that.
Sure, I could wrap my head around that, but I'd still probably feel more comfortable with him as like my 4, but
yeah.
Anyways, let's hop into this bullpen here. Obviously great batting order, great rotation, and the bullpen isn't anything to sneeze at here either. We got Jordan Romano very much locked in as a closer. 7th and 8th inning guys, we're looking at Eric Swanson and Yumi Garcia. And then that bullpen gets rounded out with Anthony Bass, Tim Maiza, Adam Simber, Trevor Richards, and Mitch White. I think this bullpen here is pretty clear cut. So really what it comes down to is Jordan Romano and where you think he could be as far as top closers in the league. So where would you rank him?
I'm keeping them in the 4 to like 7 range. I think those guys are all going to be pretty mixed up with each other. So I do have him in the top 5. I think there's a good chance he finishes at 4 there. The biggest problem with him is allowing too many hard hits. So if he can find a way to cut that down, then there's no reason he can't be top 3 at the end of the year. But for safety concerns, I'll put him at 4.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you've nailed him. If anything, oddly enough, I think that maybe the one thing that could technically bite him in the ass a little bit is that, this offense and this starting rotation is so good that they've got, 5-6 run leads going into the 9th inning. And
I see what you're saying.
he doesn't, he's going to probably miss out on a couple of saves, which at the end of the day, big whoop. But 2 or 3 saves literally could be the difference between, RP2 and RP6. So,
yeah,
again, very minor concern, but if I had to poke a hole in him, that's probably how far I'd have to reach, to do so. But that's going to do it here for the 2023 Fantasy Baseball preview of the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and drop a like on there. And if you've been enjoying these videos, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so you can get an alert every time a new one of these videos come out. We appreciate you tuning in.